Of course, the ACLU doesn't think that you should know what's happening with your kids in school. Of course. My goodness. How far has the ACLU fallen from, actually being an organization that is defined by its name, the American Civil Liberties Union? Now, you've got the Kansas chapter of the ACLU and the Kansas chapter of the National Education Association once again giving school districts bad legal advice. This time, according to the Sentinel here, they are telling school districts they do not, let me repeat, do not have to inform you, parents, about their child's desire to begin social transitioning to a different gender. Dave Trabert with the Kansas Policy Institute is here on KCMO. Dave, you guys published that piece in the Sentinel. What the heck's going on with the Kansas chapter of the ACLU and the National Education Association?
Well, good morning, Pete. What's going on is they think government knows best. They, in the case of the teacher union, KNEA, they're not focused on kids getting educated. They have a political agenda. And this all started with Attorney General Chris Kobach sending a letter to 6 schools in Kansas saying that he saw that they had policies that discouraged or forbid staff from communicating what's going on with kids' parents. If a kid says, I want to be called by a different name, I want to socially transition to a different gender, their policies were don't tell the parents. And so 2 of those districts, Belle Plaine and Mays, both in the Sedgwick County area, in Wichita, immediately changed their policies. The other 4, Kansas City, Kansas, Olathe, Shawnee Mission, and Topeka, would not. It just is unbelievable that these so-called educators, and again, this is not teachers, this is higher up superintendents and so forth, think they know better than parents how kids should be raised.
But right now, if this is happening to a kid in school and the teacher does the right thing and says, listen, it's not my job to necessarily get involved here, but I'm at least going to tell your parents. Can the teacher tell the parent, or is the school advising the teacher not to tell the parent?
Well, it depends. It's going to vary by district. Shawnee Mission does not have a policy. They have what they call a guideline. And so a teacher should be free to inform the parents. Now, whether there's probably a lot of pressure put on teachers to not, but Shawnee Mission goes out of its way to not have a policy so that it can selectively decide how to treat teachers who maybe don't toe the line. In other cases, there would be, a policy that says do not. And so there could be disciplinary action taken.
Well, that's not very, doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy inside if you're a parent and, you have your kid in the school for 7-8 hours a day. I mean, let's be honest, these kids are in these schools oftentimes longer than they're in their own homes now after school. And to think that you may not know what's going on and then you may have administrators explicitly hiding things from them happening with their own kids. I mean, it's everything that public education should be against. It's not about the kids and supporting families. It's frankly more about the bureaucracy is what I'm hearing, Dave Trabert.
Well, it's pushing a political agenda. There's a movement across this country, and it's very prevalent in K-12 and even higher ed, to separate children from their parents. They want to have a divide so that they can retrain the mind into thinking a certain way. This has been going on for some time, and it's obvious that the ACLU and the KNEA are not going to relent. They're giving bad legal advice. I mean, courts have ruled that students have some privacy rights, but no court, according to an attorney we interviewed, no court has ruled that students have privacy rights regarding their parents.
Yeah, I mean, they're minors after all, right? I wonder if part of this, too, is creating a world where minors are no longer minors, kids are no longer kids. We're all just people, and, we're all properties of the state. I have to put it that bluntly, but that's certainly kind of the world that it seems like some are trying to create.
I agree.
Dave, when do you think, just out of curiosity, man, I K through 12 public school kid, I'm sitting here as a millennial in my mid-30s, and I remember a very innocent public school upbringing that was great and was informative. When did all this really kick into gear? Is it 5 years ago? Is it 10 years ago? When do you just anecdotally think it started?
There's no official start, but anecdotally, it seems it started maybe a little more than 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very subtly at first. It's been building. And it really exploded about 5 years ago with curriculum and policies. And the inappropriate books that aren't age appropriate available to kids in school libraries. It's just been a broad assault. It's embedded in curriculum, not all, but a lot. It's everywhere now.
Mm-hmm. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. Now, on this front, Kansas school board members are getting budget advice from the Kansas Association of School Boards that is also contrary to state law. What is going on there, and why does this matter to the parent and the taxpayer right now in Kansas?
Well, there's a theme here. Once again, we're finding evidence that the school officials are not focused on improving outcomes. The State School Board Association sent out a budget and finance guide to school board members that says school districts are required to conduct needs assessment in every school each year. What are the barriers to improving proficiency and so forth? The law says the school board shall conduct. Mm-hmm. We wrote to the executive director of KASB and said, why do you give advice that is contrary to state law? And all they would say is, we support the process. They're basically admitting they know that they are misleading school board members. They don't care. And the reason is a lot of superintendents do not want board members to hear unfiltered information from teachers. They want everything controlled so that the superintendent can control the message of what teachers are allegedly saying. I mean, why in the world would you not want a school board member to hear what's going on so they can make informed decisions?
It's frustrating because we elect the members of the school board, and I get it. It's a very part-time job for these folks, but it feels like even those who want to go about those elections and want to go about their school board positions the right way, they're in a tough spot because they can't possibly know as much as the superintendent, who's getting paid handsomely to oversee day-to-day responsibilities and can get much more in the weeds than the school board member, who oftentimes is just a citizen hopefully trying to do right by their community. I mean, this is an impossible situation to try to crack, it seems like, Dave.
Well, it is a really tough one to crack, but here's the interesting thing. Kansas has had decades of experience of schools suing legislators over money.
Yeah.
The next school lawsuit could be a student suing a school district because, in this case, you're not even following the law that says how you're supposed to allocate money. Mm-hmm. They've made the evidence really clear. It may be just a matter of time before the tables get turned on the schools in the courts.
Yeah. Well, can only hope. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, always doing great work. Thanks for being here, Dave. We'll talk to you next week, my friend. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. Dave Trabert on KCMO 95.7 FM.